I'm Nancy, and I'm just completing the last portion of our assignment for this course. And the first question is basically describing how society has changed. And society has been changing drastically as the years go on. That's no question. We've seen drastic changes in the way that we dress, talk, or even the way that we style our hair. Social changes affected even our physical environment. So if one thinks back to any hurricane or natural disaster, the entire society changes as a whole because people may develop new ways on how to build sustainable houses and promote a society change to promote goodness for their own city. So they start to be more proactive about, their community, and that's all good. Social change has also taken its toll on a population. So, for example, food brought to this country by immigrant groups have become common in many American kitchens. Population increases and decreases, and that affects the economy. Innovation has drastically been impacted by social change because most of humanity, I like to believe, wants to improve the state of our society. But many times the social impact on innovation is not always gravitated towards a positive thing such as technology. So technology to me is a great big benefit, but I also have seen a rise in social anxiety in the way that people communicate with one another. It's more difficult for them. Social media has also just, impacted trust on relationships, not just, romantic, but friendships, and it has caused people to lose their jobs or be terminated from their jobs because they have been posting things on social media that are not accepted from their job. So there's also a rise in inequality and a decrease in trust, like I said, in institutions, whether it be your job or your family or relationship. Societies have been a big one on diffusion as well. So for example, those who have immigrated to the States from Mexico have brought many new ideas, production of materials, infrastructure, and the spread of the culture and the language. And obviously food has become such a big thing here, especially in the southern border. Social changes have definitely impacted mass media because there tends to be some resources that are skewed to promote their own personal agendas, their own personal beliefs. For example, some news outlets in the States tend to side with whatever political party promotes their news outlet. In terms of revolutions was and still is an important factor to social change because you can go back to history and you can see all those changes and see how far we've come from them and how far we've progressed. So, for example, Cesar Chavez was the voice for many undocumented and documented Mexican farm workers that just wanted better wages and better working conditions because they were working from day to night and basically making nothing, breaking their backs for being paid basically nothing, which was not worth it to them. He was a founder of the National Farm Workers Association, and that can be dated back to all the way to 1962. So it changed society by allowing people to work here, come here legally in exchange for better work conditions and pay, even though to this day many people who are undocumented workers are still being used in farms because they will work in any conditions and will get any pay because they're willing to put in the work just for the little amount of money that they get. And that's what makes a difference in our society. We need to promote, better ways for people to become here legally and work here because we obviously need them. And I hope in the future people can try to see why other walks of life come to this country and, we all can become more accepting of them and promote their diversity. Modernization has also changed many undeveloped countries in many different ways. I think in negative ways more than positive because Western societies use underdeveloped countries to produce a mass of things such as, a mass of clothing. For example, I know H&M is guilty of that, using underdeveloped countries, using their people to make mass production of clothing because it's cheap labor, cheap material, and it's just not fair. It's it's just not fair. They we do this because it's, you know, it's cheaper, the goods, everything like that is so much cheaper than if we were to build it here in the US. That's why modernization in, you know, West and underdeveloped countries is so minimal, because we don't really allow it to grow, because we continue to use these underdeveloped countries to our own benefit, and we reap what they sow, and we don't really give them what they should be getting in return, which is not good. Developed countries continue to use these underdeveloped countries and not allowing them to grow, like I said. It's something that definitely needs to be changed, and that's why we need to promote the use of recycling clothes, like secondhand stores such as Goodwill or any secondhand stores that promote, you know, just not the use of underdeveloped countries and their people for promoting just a shirt that costs, you know, $5 but was a whole day's worth of work for just one person. Also, examples of social movements that have occurred in history. Well, there's many variations that social movements that have occurred in history, from the civil rights movement, you know, for African Americans to be allowed to walk wherever they want, to not be segregated just because of their color of their skin. Again, there's Cesar Chavez Farm Act movement, which I think was huge because that allowed many, you know, Mexican American workers to come here legally, which has changed many people's lives and their offspring. Also, the right for women to vote here in the United States was a big deal, because there are some countries still that, you know, women are still not valued, and that's not right. Also, the LGBTQ community here in the United States, where gay rights are allowed, gay marriage is allowed, although in some states it's still kind of questioned, it's still not allowed, but it's still a big movement, and hopefully we just continue to change positively in this environment and society, because God knows we need it.